We're here back in the fantasy bar talking some week 5 main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. 6 of my favorite plays ready for you, fresh off the tap. Couple running backs I think are in some great spots. Some correlations I want to take advantage of. Some plays I think will be low owned and go overlooked, and I think that's a mistake. And of course, my favorite play on the entire slate. Who we talking about? Only one way to find out. It's time to belly up to the fantasy bar. Welcome in, guys. Week 5 edition. I can't believe we're already into week 5. 6 of my favorite plays ready for you this week on FanDuel and DraftKings. Thank you as always for stopping by the fantasy bar and checking out this week's video. Before we get to the week 5 plays, couple things. First thing, hit that tip jar. What is the tip jar? That is that thumbs up button. You guys have been crushing that. Thank you so much for that. Let's see if we can set a season high in the thumbs up. Also, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content. All right, before we get into week 5, let's take a quick look back at week 4. Some hits, some misses. Good news, every one of our positional players found the end zone. Debo gave us a solid 20. Was expecting more out of Travion Henderson, but we did talk about the risk, and the Patriots did what we thought they might do and keep things status quo. Daniel Jones, definitely a disappointment in that game against the Rams. Adonai Mitchell certainly did not help that. Tyler Warren, solid for us with a rushing touchdown and 18 DraftKings points. Devontae Adams finding the end zone. Ho-hum day, though, with 15 DraftKings points. And James Cook crushed as our Beast of the Week. Congrats to our Beast of the Week contest winners who won a free month of RotoGrinders Premium and your shot to win that same prize coming up at the end of the video. All right, let's get into our first play this week at the running back position with Jahmyr Gibbs of Detroit. So obviously a great spot here for these Detroit Lions against these hapless Cincinnati Bengals. 30-point team total here for the Detroit Lions against this defense. And looking at early ownership, was kind of surprised here to see Jahmyr Gibbs so low owned. I think this number will go up throughout the week. There's a lot of running backs, a lot more popular. So if this continues, this is one of, if not the highest ceiling running back we have in football, even in a split with David Montgomery. This guy has 30, 35 DraftKings points potential in his bag. We've seen it many a times. So let's keep an eye on that ownership. But even if it goes up a little bit, still love the spot here for Gibbs and Montgomery. I think you can play them both here this week. Cincinnati's second most rushing yards allowed in all of football and the second most fantasy points here. Likely scenario, Detroit controls this game, dominates with their running attack, and Jahmyr Gibbs puts a big number on the board here in week 5. All right, let's go to the wide receiver position next with Michael Pittman of Indianapolis. So another guy I think could go overlooked in GPPs. You got a lot of names in that range that seem like they're going to have a lot higher ownership here. Jalen Waddle, obviously, with the boost, with no Tyreek Hill. Ladd McConkey in a good bounce back spot here. Chris Olave generally draws a lot of ownership in that range. So Pittman, very attractive as a pivot in that range here. Touchdowns in 3 of his first 4 games here with Daniel Jones. 10 targets last week against the LA Rams. We may get Alec Pierce back, which will help in my opinion. He's going to clear things out deep, open some things up here for Michael Pittman. And this Raider secondary has been absolutely horrific against wide receivers. We're talking bottom 5 in the entire league in receptions allowed, receiving yards allowed, and fantasy points allowed here. I think Jones bounces back here. He is in play this week as well. And Michael Pittman, a great option here in the mid-range at wide receiver. All right, let's go back to running back here with a guy I think is underpriced for his current role, and that is Cam Skattebo of the Giants. So I was both shocked at the prices here with Cam Skattebo. Yes, they went up, and I'm also surprised by the ownership numbers, and these could change here as well. But another guy that's seemingly going overlooked. Everyone was excited about him last week. Didn't put a massive number on the board, but the usage was absolutely through the roof. We'll get to that here in a second. But basically, to sum it up, you're getting a workhorse running back. You're simply not paying workhorse running back prices here. So a tremendous buy low here right now. Over the last 2 weeks, 22.5 opportunities per game. That's carries and targets. We highlight the targets, 10 of them over the last 2 weeks. So valuable over on DraftKings with that PPR. And we know the touchdown upside is here as well. Over on FanDuel, New Orleans, bottom 8 in the league in rushing touchdowns allowed so far and fantasy points to the running back position. Close 1.5 point spread here. Should be a competitive game. I think Skattebo gets another huge workload here. These prices just too tough to ignore. And if this ownership sticks, I think he's a phenomenal play in both your cash games and your tournaments. All right, let's go to the tight end position next with Jake Ferguson of Dallas. So no CeeDee Lamb means a ton of targets for guys like George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. He's just going to continue to be targeted by Dak Prescott over the last 3 games, averaging 11 targets per game and over 18 DraftKings points per game. These are high-end wide receiver type target numbers that we are getting at the tight end position, and we're getting it under 5,000 on DraftKings and just 6,000 over on FanDuel. Tight end kind of ugly this week as well, so Ferguson really stood out. Dallas 25-point projected team total in this matchup, so should be plenty of offense in this one. The Jets just gave up a couple touchdowns to a returning Darren Waller, and it's certainly a position they have struggled with in the past here. I think Jake Ferguson just too cheap for this role right now. Take advantage in this matchup against the New York Jets. All right, speaking of the Jets, let's get some correlation on the other side at wide receiver with Garrett Wilson. You talk about targets, this guy is seeing a boatload of targets in this offense, playing at an extremely high level, and you don't get a better spot than a matchup with this Dallas Cowboys secondary. Wilson, at least 8 targets in every single game, has scored a touchdown in 3 of 4 games, and has gone over 20 DraftKings points in 3 of those 4 games. And the best news, we have not seen the ceiling yet out of Garrett Wilson. I definitely think he's got some 30-point games in his bag here. Dallas, just to wide receivers, giving up over 206 receiving yards per game, 9 touchdowns already scored by wideouts against this team. And of course, they're giving up the most fantasy points as well, but not only the most, they are lapping the field nearly 9 DraftKings points per game more than the second worst team in the league. Doesn't get any better than a matchup with this secondary. I think Garrett Wilson goes for 30 and a couple touchdowns here this week against the Dallas Cowboys. All right, it's time. Take a look at my favorite play for week 5. Before we do that, let's continue our Beast of the Week contest and give away another free month of RotoGrinders Premium. All you got to do, simply click that thumbs up button, head to the comment section, and guess fantasy points on DraftKings for my Beast of the Week. Your guess is the closest. Simple as that. You walk away with a free month of RotoGrinders Premium just for hanging out with me today in the Fantasy Bar. While you're down there, who is your Beast of the Week? Who is your top play here on this Week 5 slate? Sound off in that YouTube comment section. All right, let's get to my favorite play for Week 5. You know, Matt, the Beast of the Week. All right, Beast time. We still owe you a quarterback. I think you know where we're going here. We are going to continue in that Dallas Jets game with quarterback Justin Fields, this week's Beast of the Week. So not often we get a quarterback here as the Beast of the Week, but this is easily my favorite play here. In 2 healthy games, this guy has put up 29 and 28 DraftKings points, still under 6,000 here. And in those games, averaged 222 passing yards per game, average 1 touchdown pass per game. So you're thinking, wow, those numbers are not good. That is the point. I think there's room for a ton more here for Justin Fields, only throwing for 222 yards and 1 touchdown per game, and you're still scoring 28 and 29 DraftKings points. I think 30 and potentially 40 is not out of the question in this spot for Justin Fields. 48 or more rushing yards in every single game here. And we know this Dallas defense, not only bad, but maybe historically bad here. No team allowing more fantasy points to the quarterback position than the Dallas Cowboys. I think we get some fireworks here from Fields, Wilson, and company. Justin Fields, easily my favorite play on the board in this week's Beast of the Week. All right, guys, that'll do it for Week 5 here from the Fantasy Bar. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, hit me up in that comment section or on Twitter at Beermakersfan. Get your guess in on Justin Fields' DraftKings points for a shot to win a free month of RotoGrinders Premium. For RotoGrinders.com, I am Beer saying salut, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck here in Week 5, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for checking out our videos. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more DraftKings, FanDuel, and other DFS content. And you can check out our daily live show schedule on RotoGrinders.com/videos.